Welcome back to our second segment with Cristo Rey of Dallas. Today we'll be talking with two students who participate in their work-study program.
Welcome to At the Forefront, where we explore the groundbreaking innovations and developments shaping the future of aging. We're hitting the road to showcase how older adults are embracing change, staying active, and thriving in their golden years. Here's your host, CEO of Forefront Living, Tim Mallett.
Well, welcome back, Laura.
Thank you.
You have a couple of guests with you today. Can you tell us who we'll be talking to next?
Absolutely. So here with me today, I have Jason Castillo, who's a senior student who works at Parkland Health. And then I also have Jocelyn Ramirez, who is also a senior student who actually works at Forefront Living.
Forefront Living?
Yeah.
I think everybody knows what Forefront Living is. Well, welcome. I'll start with a question for both of you. Tell me how long you've been a student at Cristo Rey.
I came into Cristo Rey August of 2023 as a junior transfer, and I transferred from a public charter school.
Very good.
Yeah, I've been here since August 2021, my freshman year of high school.
Well, can you maybe tell us a little bit about what you're doing on the work side of what you do at Cristo Rey?
Coming into Cristo Rey, I was very passionate about being in the medical field. In our survey that we took at the beginning of the year, I put that I really wanted to be in the healthcare system, and so I was granted the healthcare system in Parkland. And so it's been great. Our main focus is to research ways to help the 75217 community, the Pleasant Grove area, and how we can make a positive impact in helping the actually lowering the death rates of the 75217 community. And so throughout my years there, it's kind of grown, and it's kind of just like helped me try to like focus on how I can help, right? And what I can contribute.
And we'll circle back to that because I think that's a good point, and I think the two of you actually have a link together because Jocelyn, I know a little bit more about you, obviously. I could see you once a week for sure because you work with us at Forefront Living. Can you tell us a little bit about your main responsibilities and what you're up to?
I work in marketing, right? And some of the things I do is I go to events with my supervisors. I also do social media posts, and I also went with Joni she introduced me to some of the things that they do at the retirement home and recovery care, and she showed me multiple people in different situations.
Your goal upon graduation is going to nursing, is that correct?
Yeah.
So why nursing?
I wanted to go into nursing because I've always been surrounded around not sick people, but people in different situations, especially vulnerable people. I live with my grandparents, and they've always had health problems, and I always feel like I could help people in those situations too.
So Jason, talk about what you do at Parkland.
My freshman year, we started it's called the Community Health Needs Assessment, and that's just, as I mentioned, figuring out ways we can help our community. And then transitioning into sophomore year, we kind of just started in the healthcare, like in the hospital, the hospital, the clinics, and so I started at labor and delivery, and so that was an awesome experience. I was there for maybe about a semester, and then after I transitioned into a daycare called Annie's Place, and it's supported by funding, by donors, by Parkland itself. Which sadly this year they went out of business. It's temporarily closed. It's permanently closed. And then last year, kind of went back into the clinical side. The whole year, I was at the Moody Outpatient Clinic, and there we were actually interviewing patients and asking them how My Chart, which is an application for patients to maneuver easier around the hospital, just talking to them about how it's impacted them and how it's helped them, because we call it the traditional, like just going to your appointment, checking in, and while on this app you can pre-check in, so it's just a faster process, and it's been great. I mean, we've heard many good things. I've been through so much at Parkland, my 4 years. I've been able to see the different perspectives of what goes into a healthcare system. And so being 3 years in the healthcare setting and then this past semester being in the business part, it just kind of like really shifted my focus and trying to find where I fit in as I grow, as I go into college and what I want to study. And so I would say the biggest impact is Parkland and my supervisors and opportunity.
Wonderful. So Jocelyn, you make this change, you come to Cristo Rey, then you jump in and you're working for an organization that has hospice, senior living, and you're in the corporate office, and you just mentioned that you live with your grandparents, and so you already have a connection to the world that you're working in. How has all of that change impacted you?
Honestly, like, especially when I went with Joni, I went into a room I think we were at recovery care with a woman, and she like expressed her needs and like nurses and like a big change in the nursing program. And I feel like I could become that change, and being there and being surrounded about people with different situations, different environments, I feel like that impacted my perspective on when I was going to go into nursing. And
Interesting. So what type of change? You mentioned change twice in that comment. Talk about the change that's needed and how you could maybe impact that.
nursing provide more care for people in like more vulnerable situations, be more sensitive towards those people, not be insensitive, not treat them like little kids, like they're humans too.
Absolutely, and I think they very much, the people in the area where I work especially, love youth, love the interaction with youth. So I think that's a very astute observation. Can you both share a learning experience? Maybe we'll start with you and we'll come back to you.
I went to hospice with my supervisors, and I went to go see some people, and they were in very, very vulnerable situations, but it was it made me feel good that I got able to put a smile on their face, and I feel like I was there for them, and I feel like I could do that in the real world too, being there for them and putting a smile on their face.
Wonderful. I'm smiling. Jason, your turn. Same question.
Yeah, same as Jocelyn mentioned. I walked into this hospital thinking totally different, that I was gonna be in the office, but this learning experience of patient interactions has really just like helped me. Like she said, patients that go in there and then they're so like vulnerable and being at in these rooms, talking to these patients, seeing the faces, seeing how we can really make an impact has just it's helped me so much. And there was times where I would go into these rooms, and before leaving the room I'd get a handshake, and I would get a good comment like, good for you that you're doing this.
You both used the word, and I'm going to ask you a question if you're all right with that. I've heard you both use the word vulnerable. And explain that word and what that word means, because I think that's a very powerful observation on both of your parts to recognize that vulnerability. How are the people that we serve vulnerable? I'm counting myself on the provider side with that question.
Well, they're in like different situations, and situations that make them feel like they're alone, like they don't have no support, and that they're at the end, and I feel like that's where I see as vulnerable.
Talking with these patients and hearing their stories of how they got there and how they're still pushing, and also pushing for us now that they see us there. It just amazes me. And having grandparents also that are at an old age. I'm currently staying with my grandfather and having to help him out. And so to see that they still push for themselves, but they also push for us.
Same question for both of you again. Do you feel this work-study program has prepared you for the next step, for what the real world is?
I feel like it did. It opened my eyes to the corporate world and the real world in general. And I made a lot of mistakes while I was at the work-study program. but I feel like I learn from these mistakes and they won't happen again.
So is it okay to make a mistake?
Yes.
I think that's a very powerful message, and you know, mistakes are how things happen. We wouldn't have light bulbs if we didn't have mistakes. I certainly wouldn't be where I am if you knew the number of mistakes I've made. So I'm glad you took that lesson away. Same question for you, Jason.
It's great, you know, there's this opportunity. Like Jocelyn also mentioned, the mistakes. I've been there all 4 years, you know, but I always pushed myself, and I always had that push from my supervisors that it's okay because nobody's perfect, and we all start somewhere. And so in every department, my first day was a mistake, but you know, I grew from it, and I successfully, you know, did these tasks that came up, and it, you know, to this day, it's been great.
So, you know, you both have mentioned your supervisors, and how important is that relationship for you? You know, we have our relationships here on campus, but we are in the work environment. Talk a little bit about the supervisor relationship.
I feel like the supervisor relationship is really important, especially communication-wise. Whenever you're having a problem, like when you're stuck on something, I feel like you should be comfortable enough to speak out to your supervisor. And I'm lucky that I do have that relationship with her, and I'm able to communicate my feelings towards her.
Would you make any recommendations? And I'll ask you because you have perspective, a long perspective, but any recommendations for a supervisor coming into this situation working with one of the students here?
A lot of mistakes are going to happen, and it's okay to like not be too hard on them, but teach them and be able to explain them step by step.
Wonderful. So Jason, the importance of the relationship, and then maybe some recommendations for new supervisors.
Okay. Yeah, the importance, it's so important, and I caught on real fast. My freshman year, I've had the same supervisors, and to be able to communicate and you're just a call away or an office away, it's important to know that your supervisor is there for you, and then how my supervisors have slowly but surely shaped my career and helped me, you know, with my focus on what I want to do. And so I would say my relationship with my supervisors are real great. And for incoming supervisors or just patience. Like Jocelyn has said, you know, we all make mistakes, and that's how I started. But I think patience and just knowing that you guys can help each other, the student and the supervisor, is just great for both.
Two final questions. First, what message do you have for a teacher that has impacted your high school journey?
I have a message for Ms. Sawatsky. She's my junior teacher. I was new, and I didn't know any teacher. I was uncomfortable, but she made me feel welcomed and comfortable.
Yeah, I would like to give my message to Miss Laser. She was my junior teacher and is currently my senior teacher for religion. And she just, every day she makes me feel welcome. She always greets me. And she always wants to know more about me every day. If she sees me down, she'll ask me a question, or she'll ask me what's wrong with me. And this connection that I have with her, I'm free, and so I can be open with her and talk to her about my situation. And so the fact that she's pushed me and guided me, being a freshman year also, it's a good relationship.
So our final question is, what would you like to say to the companies you have both worked with during your work study? It's a tricky one, Jocelyn. So,
I would like to say thank you for all the opportunities you've given me. It was such a good learning experience, and they made me feel really welcome. And like I was at home, and I could express all my feelings towards them. And I hope we could be in contact after high school.
Wonderful.
Yeah, man, it's just. I was thinking about this last night, and it was tough. You know, I was like, what do I say? There's so many good things, but. Yeah, just the opportunity that they provided for me, going to Austin, being a part of their group, helping them plan out the flu drives that we have here, It's just it's great, and I hope to also keep this connection with them. I have numbers and emails, and so to know that I can go back and or that I can call them for any help, and I'm really thankful and grateful for everything they've done for me also.
I want to thank the three of you for joining us at the forefront, and I also want to thank the three of you for the impact you've made. I can speak on behalf of one of those companies and say that your presence has helped transform the organization. We've enjoyed working with Cristo Rey, and we look forward to working with other students. So thank you for paving the way for future students.